Do not necessarily reflect those of the advertisers, owners, or management of Pacific Telestations LLC. For comments, opinions, and questions, please email Jess Lujan at jessthebuzz@gmail.com. The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Thank you for joining me this evening. My in-studio guest, Kay, was a holdback from last week as well, and thank you for joining me again in this busy Monday evening. Jeff Marshall is my guest this evening. We'll be talking, actually we're going to continue our conversation on Bill 30, but more on the other side of business and where Guam is at. Where do you think it's going to go, and can we get there, and how soon we'll be able to get there to a better place, to that promised land? Jeff Marshall, good evening.
I'm an optimist, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
I predict that this bill will be defeated.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the business opposition and the business community is going to be really forceful and really strong.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a number of gubernatorial candidates, including the horse that I have in the race, Carl Gutierrez, who are adamantly opposed to these tax increases because they see a better way. Mm-hmm. They see that if we maintain an equitable level of incentive for businesses, and that incentive doesn't hurt Guam, but rather benefits it, they see it as an opportunity to grow. We need to grow our revenue base. We don't need to tax existing businesses out of business and make them unprofitable, limit choices for buyers of wholesaled and then retailed products.
That's right.
I see the proposed tax legislation in Bill 230 is a disincentive, but there is an opportunity to expand our revenue base by inviting businesses to Guam.
Jeff, I don't know if you were here at the time when GovGuam was getting into insurance, when GovGuam had its own insurance company, health insurance company, basically. And that didn't work out too well. You know, I think it started well, meant well, I mean, and then it folded. And so what was happening is GovGuam was looking for a provider to be able to, again, insure its population, its GovGuam employees, right? And they were off-island folks. So what GovGuam had done is work with the insurance companies here and say, hey, can you provide this for us? Can you provide this for us? And of course, it's not a very large base at this point. You know, I mean, you don't have, connecting cities and things like that, or states like other states do, right? And so we're a small population. So you have not infinite amount of people. You have a finite amount of people here. So the government needed to design an incentive for businesses, insurance companies, to consider opening up health insurance and expanding their insurance base and expanding, what they offer in regards to insurance. Your thoughts on that? Because now we're wanting to kind of roll that back. We're saying, wait a minute, you're making money, and we're not. You're making money, I'm not. So because you're making money, it's your fault that I'm not.
Jesse, I've got one answer to that. Plug the leaks. Before you start going after businesses who've been very successful in offering choices to people, it's not just one government choice now.
That's right.
You got private sector choices out there.
Yeah.
And it's good because you can compare and contrast. And all of the plans that I've seen, all the medical plans that I've seen, you have multiple choices.
Sure.
You can get lots of coverage or little coverage. You can get AFLAC, supplemental. If you got plans that can keep you here on Guam or take you to the Philippines or take you to Hawaii or California or what have you.
Yeah.
So there are lots of choices and lots of options. So what? The insurance companies are profitable. What's wrong with that? There's some incentive. Okay.
Well, you want to be profitable because that's how they're going to stay in business. If business does not, if a business continues to stay on the red, it's not going to be business very much longer. I mean, there's GovGuam. They're not just red. They're in the dark red. And that's why they're saying, why are we not? And so because you're doing something wrong. So how can we, again, we talked about this last week. When your image is portrayed as such, as business unfriendly, or I've invited you in here. Say you weren't the industry that I had, but I went out as a GITA or as a governor. I went out and said, hey, Jeff, and I enticed you to come to Guam. You weren't thinking of Guam, but I enticed you to come here. Look at, weather is pretty much beautiful all year round, okay? We have university here. I mean, you have your employee base, basically. So I enticed you, but you said, well, wait a minute. So I further entice you by maybe giving you a qualifying certificate. In other destinations, they're called as tax holidays, okay? So I'm giving you this. So now you're in business, you're in business, you're doing pretty well. I'm not doing well because, I mean, I continue to get fat and deny the fact that I'm fat, okay? But you're doing well, so now I'm looking at it and say, oh, wait a minute, man, you're growing, and I'm not. What does that tell people that potentially when you go out to come here, at some point, we don't know when the legislature is going to turn its back and say, hey, what you told me last year, or 2 years ago, or 10 years ago was no longer good? I mean, you told me I had this for so many years, and then now you're saying, whoa, wait a minute.
Well, right now, the legislature seems to be somewhat in cahoots with the present administration because there is considerable support for this proposed legislation to raise taxes. Ideally, you want to have an administration that is putting a check on the legislature and the legislature putting a check on the administration. Hey, put on the brakes, consider another perspective. The other thing that we've got to think of is that this is government of the, for the, by the people. And who else is the people but the small business owner? I remember back in the Gutierrez administration, what did Carl Gutierrez do? 1994. People were really scared of this guy. He's a liberal. He's going to hurt business. They campaigned hard against him. He got into office. He called all of the business people, many of them who had voted against him, a lot of Republicans, and he said, come on, guys, we've got to solve Guam's economic problems. And so what did he do? He formed a Council of Economic Advisors. Now, this is not brain salad surgery, okay? This is not something that Carl Gutierrez made up. This is a model of governance excellence.
That was Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Was ELP.
ELP, yeah.
Good band. So my only point is whoever wins the next election, even if Eddie Calvo wants to start taking the advice of business people who have expertise in insurance, in banking, in wholesaling, all of the businesses that may be affected by this tax increase proposal, if he can bring them in, realize that they're community players, and most of these guys who are making good money on Guam in their respective businesses are community players. They're good corporate citizens. They want to sustain their business, and they want to help the island grow, and they want to give affordable products and services to the community. Because look, there aren't a lot of monopolies on Guam. And there's a lot of competition out there. So what could be wrong with going to the business and flattering them and telling them, look, I need your input. You know, I need you to tell me what it is we need to do in order to fix this problem. And I guarantee you, dollars to donuts, a lot of those CEOs and folks who are running these businesses are going to say, look, Governor, you've got to go back and fix rev and tax, and you've got to start plugging these leaks. And if you're going to spend money on anything, start spending money on people who can do collections and go after legitimate businesses who aren't paying their fair share, who are otherwise making money.
We talk about this incentive in regards to tax increases, and it's supposed to fund a hospital. Now, tell me how in essence, a free hospital can make money.
How can it make money?
Yes. How can a free institution make money?
Well, it can't as long as it has that unfunded mandate, that unfunded liability. The problem is, as you and I discussed over the weekend, you've got this unfunded mandate and you've got a breached situation where the federal government has broken its covenant with Guam. It said that it was going to pay for the impact of migration from the freely associated states. It pays part of it. It doesn't pay enough of it. And if not all of it is going to be paid, of course, the hospital is going to be swimming in the red all the time, and it has been for decades. So to me, the solution is that you need to start reaching out to the federal government with its unlimited resources, start looking at Health and Human Services and the services that they can offer in their various branches to provide doctors and nurses, and start also stemming the tide by bringing in some federal dollars. I mean, we've got to go to the federal government and tell them, look, we can't do this anymore.
No more.
Yeah, we can't do this anymore.
I got to take a quick break. When we come back again, well, I want to talk about a brand new hospital facility. Isn't that great? Be right back.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
This message has been brought to you by the KUAM Care Force.
Let us help you celebrate those special people in your life on the Cold Stone Birthday Club. Weeknights on KUAM News Primetime, KUAM News Weekend Edition, and KUAM Radio. One lucky celebrant will receive a birthday cake from Cold Stone Creamery every week, and their lucky nominator will receive a gift certificate from the Cold Stone Yogurt Dessert Bar as well. Visit KUAM.com to register your celebrant's birthday. You must also send an email with the name of the celebrant and their date of birth, as well as a single close-up photo to birthdayclub@KUAM.com. All submissions must be compliant with KUAM regulations and must be received 2 days prior, but no later than noon tomorrow standard time on the day of the birthday on weekdays, and noon on Friday if a weekend birthday. See KUAM.com for additional regulations.
The Birthday Club is presented by KUAM and Cold Stone Creamery and Yogurt Dessert Bar. Attention Guam residents, you might receive a phone call from the Department of Public Health and Social Services asking you to participate in the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System Plus survey. This is a legitimate survey to collect health measurements on BMI, blood pressure, blood glucose, and cholesterol from adults 18 years and older. Data will contribute to working towards a healthier island. For more information, contact 735-7289. This message is in partnership with the CDC and Pacific Island Health Officers Association.
When it comes to fun,
you tell the truth.
Fallon always hits the spot. The Tonight Show.
1, 2, 3.
Starring Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon!
Weeknights on NBC.
Welcome to all the possibilities the morning can bring.
Hoda has a real gift of connecting with people.
Just having her there makes you feel good.
I've never worked in a place that felt like family before. This is it.
Welcome to a new today.
It's every kid's dream to be an Olympian. I've kind of believed that I was going to be in the Olympics since I was 8 years old.
Everyone comes together. Everyone's united for the same reason.
There's no other event in the world that has this kind of impact. You can feel when people from different backgrounds, different countries come together, but they're all rooting for one thing. Representing the United States, it's a big honor, and I take that responsibility to heart.
You are what your country has sent out as the best it has to offer.
You're sharing that experience with everybody who's helped you get there, everybody who's watching you on TV and cheering you on.
You're a part of something that's much larger than yourself.
All eyes across the world are watching you do what you love to do.
It's like nothing else.
The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
We're back with main studio guest Jeff Marcesson. We're talking, of course, about the potential tax increases. You know, before going to break, we're talking about a brand new hospital, a refurbished hospital with the latest equipment and all that. And who would not want that, right? Who would not want that? But in essence, if you have that in a free facility, I mean, even now, people are coming here for the free services, If your facility gets better, of course, you're going to have more people wanting to come to that facility and avail themselves to the free services. So what does that mean? So when we increase taxes, a source of funding at a certain amount of tax increases, it's not going to stay at that because the demand will be even greater. The better you are, the greater you're going to have to provide, the greater the need will be. the better the doctors you're going to get, the salaries you're going to have to account for, the equipment that you're going to have to constantly refurbish, and things of that nature. So when you're starting at this percentage point, you know, the following year you're going to have to go up. So the designated source of funding is something that always, I mean, if the designated source of funding is taxes, then just know that that tax that you're going to be, that is identified, that number will continuously go up.
I'm going to say something that is maybe controversial for some, because I know how uncomfortable this whole idea of receivership has been, especially with the dump in ORDOT, right? It was very contentious between the administration and the federal receiver.
And actually, even the last administration, even it started in the Camacho administration.
True. And so it's left a really sour taste in people's mouths, but I think that there are some in this community who would say that if the federal government, forget a receiver, if a federal government came in and took over the hospital and worked with the local government and made sure that no patient was turned away, it might be a much more viable situation. I mean, you do have the resources in the federal government to make sure that healthcare is ready on the spot. I mean, the federal government does triage.
Yeah, but only in a situation, because if we're comparing that to the dump situation, it was a federal receiver, okay, but we had to foot the bill. It was on our dime. It was on our dime. Now,
big difference.
Big difference between us and our dime. And remember when we could hardly afford it, and we were paying, I think, $1 million or $2 million a week. You know, and the judge didn't care. He said, "Hey, look, you got to pay this." And I said, "Well, you can't do that. That's beyond your power, man."
Yeah,
I mean,
waited too long. That was the attitude.
Yeah, and wait a minute, I got government agencies to run. I cannot just put this money to the dump. Well, anyway, the governor at the time, Governor Camacho, did what he needed to do to bring this, again, move this government forward. But that was a very contentious time there as well. So a federal receiver based on our dime, again, will not work, because all the federal receivers we have coming in. I mean, mental health was one. The prison, I think, we're just getting out of it, if we're not completely out of it. DOE's got a third-party fiduciary and things like that. This is all on our dime.
Sure.
You know, the very beginning, they footed the bill, DOE, okay? But now we're footing the bill. So it's all on our dime.
That would be the differences with a uniformed services company or a division of HHS, which would be the U.S. Health Services Administration. It's got a different name now.
Health and Human Services, I think.
Yeah, it's Health and Human Services, and then under that, among its many branches, is what used to be called the U.S. Health Services Administration. I believe it's now the Health Resources and Services Administration or something like that. But the point is that they have these uniformed doctors and nurses that they could provide to a community in need. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen, Jesse? The Navy hospital, the Naval Hospital, is already refusing to take FAS migrants, right?
They were asked by Congress. Congress encouraged them to do so. They said no. As a matter of fact, I mean, they should. I mean, the facility before they demolished the old facility, they could have refurbished that and have that an auxiliary hospital for that. But
you know, I don't think either Guam Regional Medical City or GMH is going to be turning away service members.
No.
Okay, so we've got 3 hospitals to juggle. That's my point. If we're going to have a naval hospital, if we could get at least the help and cooperation of HHS to fix the hospital, then we would have another facility for these 5,000 Marines, these rotational Marines.
Well, put it this way: the veterans even are having a hard time getting treated up there.
Who is?
The veterans are having a hard time getting treated over there as well.
Sure.
And so, I mean, basically, so if the veterans who are once in the military, the veterans, they're having a hard time getting treated there as well. Imagine the civilian side.
Sure. But again, if we've got the unlimited resources of the federal government behind us and they take this seriously, they know the economy is going to grow as a result of the military buildup. So I'm hoping that will give HHS the additional incentive and the Trump administration the additional incentive to take this unfunded mandate and liability hanging over Guam like the sword of Damocles seriously, and to finally fix it once and for all.
And you know, and I want to go back again. You had mentioned Trump, where Make America Great Again. Is that inclusive of Guam? Do you know that? Do you know whether or not? Is it Make America Great? Is it inclusive? I know I'm a Republican. I'm not a Trump supporter, but Make America Great. What does it mean by America? The 50 states? Or what does it mean by America? Because, you know, we need to be great as well, you know? You know, we were always good. Guam's been good. Guam is good. But, you know, let's make it great. So in that case, we have only a few steps to go. We've already beat them. We've been good. So...
Well, Trump is government on steroids, federal government on steroids, right? If we were being ignored before, we're being double and triple ignored in some ways now. Now, I'm not saying that's irredeemable. Trump operates on personal relationships. It's a big thing with him, right? If you can prove some appreciation and some loyalty, it could go a long way. That's the way the guy does business. It didn't hurt the CNMI. When Ralph Torres, I believe it was, went over there and saw him, was right there in the White House. Governor Eddie Calvo has met with him, but so far we don't see the results that we need for Guam right now. And what I'm talking about is an instance in which the president was very loose-lipped in his comments about North Korea and the North Korean leader. And there was a big threat hanging over our heads. A lot of people were scared. It attracted international news organizations. I was doing news drops for CCTV, Chinese Central Television in the mainland. They were calling me for their China Global Television Network. But I was one among many. There were lots of people. So Guam was in the spotlight.
Sure. I mean, I myself was interviewed for a TV and radio station in the Philippines and in Australia, and I think one in Taiwan as well. I think so. I had three interviews as well in regards to that time.
Jesse, my problem with the commentary, I know it was off the cuff and he meant well, but when the president spoke to our governor, he said, you know, I think all this publicity is going to be great for tourism. What's happened? It's had the direct opposite effect. Now, okay, the South Koreans are not worried, okay? They deal with this threat over their border all the time. So they don't mind coming to Guam. It's further away, right? They've had a target painted on them for the last, you know, ever since World War II. Yeah?
Ever since.
Yeah, or I'm sorry, ever since the end of the Korean War, right? And they rebuilt their economy up north, at least to some degree. They poured all their resources into the military, and, you know, they've been dealing with the threat for decades. Here on Guam, we hear it once in a while, every few years. Some people get scared. Most people are barbecuing. They don't really care. But when that pronounced threat with all of that international news was focused on Guam, the president made that off-the-cuff remark about tourism improving, and it started tanking after that. The South Koreans continued to come, but one of our bread and butter industries that's maturing and is declined a lot more rapidly over that period of time, and it's the Japanese market, and we're still recovering from that.
But also, I mean, you know, you know, the industry folks, the airlines folks have said, hey, that market has been declining even before these threats.
Sure.
I mean, they probably were on steroids after that, but they were starting already. The trend was on the decline already.
I was reading 57, 52% of the market, whereas it used to be closer to 80%. It's true, it had been declining, but to suffer that quick of a plummet, a drop, was very difficult. Nobody had time to adjust. So what have we done? We poured a lot more resources through GVB in our marketing efforts toward South Korea. South Korea doesn't feel as threatened by this threat because they deal with it, as I said, all the time over their border.
And it's bringing us the numbers, but not quite the revenue that the Japanese had.
Sure. The per spend is down, definitely.
I got that quick break. We'll be right back.
Live Local Fridays, featuring the best artists on Guam. It's Live Local Fridays. Listen to I-94 Guam's favorite every Friday at 9 in the morning or stream on the KUAM News app. You can also catch the performances live on the I-94 Facebook page.
'Cause it's you and me on this island in the sea.
And don't forget weekly performance highlights on In the Mix, Thursdays on the stations and networks of KUAM. From the only station truly embracing our local artists.
It's a guarantee you'll find happiness here.
Catch Live Local Fridays tracks, Guam's favorite I-94 on SoundCloud. Live Local Fridays, brought to you by Burger King. Be your way.
Rise up for love.
Pacificana Beauty, Wise Out Animal Hospital, and Absolute Vodka present the return of the Miss Pacificana Beauty Pageant. Join us as we crown Guam's finest queen in Guam's oldest alternative beauty pageant, Miss Pacificana. On Tuesday, February 13th, watch as Queen Maya Rojas crowns one of 8 beauty